Iran's supreme leader Khamenei is dead, Trump and Israeli sources confirm. Operation Epic Fury. On the morning of February 28, 2026, the Middle East woke up to news that shook the entire world. In a coordinated military operation spanning multiple strike packages, the United States and Israel launched one of the most audacious military actions in modern history, a joint assault on the Islamic Republic of Iran. The operation, officially named Operation Epic Fury by U.S. Central Command, began at precisely 1:15 a.m. Eastern Time, with American destroyers firing cruise missiles from the Arabian Sea and Israeli fighter jets breaching Iranian airspace from the west. Within hours, the unthinkable had been confirmed. Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, the 85-year-old supreme leader of Iran, a man who had ruled with an iron fist for 36 years, was dead. Killed in his own compound in the heart of Tehran. Two Israeli intelligence sources confirmed it. Iran's own state media confirmed it. And then, the President of the United States confirmed it. The Supreme Leader of Iran is dead. Donald J. Trump. To understand why this moment matters, you have to understand the man who was killed. Ali Hosseini Khamenei was born on July 17, 1939, in the city of Mashhad, Iran. He was not just a political leader. He was the supreme commander of Iran's entire military apparatus, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, the Basij militia, Iran's nuclear program, and the network of proxy forces stretching from Lebanon's Hezbollah to Yemen's Houthis to Iraqi militias. He survived an assassination attempt in 1981 that left him permanently disabled in his right arm. He outlasted American presidents from Ronald Reagan through Donald Trump's second term. He guided Iran through wars, sanctions, revolutions, and protests. For 36 years, he was Iran. And on February 28, 2026, an Israeli precision-guided munition ended that reign in seconds. According to multiple intelligence and military sources, the operation was months, possibly years in the planning. Operation Epic Fury was not a random airstrike. It was a precisely choreographed military campaign, a multi-layered decapitation strike designed to simultaneously destroy Iran's nuclear infrastructure, cripple its military command, and eliminate its top leadership in a single, coordinated blow. U.S. Central Command confirmed that strikes began at 1:15 a.m. Eastern Time, which translated to 9:45 a.m. Tehran local time. A deliberate choice, as Israeli intelligence had confirmed Khamenei's location. The USS Spruance, a U.S. Navy destroyer, fired Tomahawk cruise missiles from the Arabian Sea. U.S. Air Force B-2 Spirit stealth bombers, the same aircraft used in Operation Midnight Hammer in June 2025, once again penetrated Iranian airspace, this time carrying bunker-busting munitions aimed at deeply fortified underground sites. Israeli F-35 Iran jets, flying coordinated strike packages, targeted senior leadership compounds in western and central Tehran. The IDF officially stated that Israeli forces struck over 500 Iranian targets in the opening phase of the operation alone. The targets included Fordo and Natanz, Iran's two primary uranium enrichment facilities, both described as decimated by CSIS analysts. Isfahan's metallurgy complex, critical to Iran's weapons-grade material production, completely destroyed. Karaj, west of Tehran, home to Iran's ballistic missile production facilities. IRGC command and control centers across 5 Iranian provinces. Iranian air defense systems, systematically neutralized in the opening minutes of the assault to allow follow-on strikes. And Khamenei's compound in central Tehran, the final target. The strike on the Supreme Leader's compound was carried out by Israel, not the United States. U.S. officials were explicit on this division of labor. American forces focused on military and nuclear targets, while Israel handled the leadership decapitation strikes. But, as analysts note, with the level of intelligence sharing and joint planning involved, the distinction between Israeli and American action in this operation is, in the words of one analyst, a distinction without a difference. The confirmation of Khamenei's death came in waves, each one more significant than the last. First, two Israeli intelligence sources told CNN's Jeremy Diamond and his colleague Tal Shalev that Israel had confirmed the supreme leader was killed. One source stated that Israel possessed photographic evidence of Khamenei's dead body. Second, a senior Israeli official told Reuters that Khamenei's body had been recovered from the rubble of his compound in Tehran. Third, the Israeli ambassador to Washington briefed U.S. officials and members of Congress, updating them that Israeli intelligence had confirmed the kill. Fourth, President Donald Trump, speaking from Mar-a-Lago, made the announcement directly. Fifth, and perhaps most significantly, Iranian state media itself confirmed the death of Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. Iran's Tasnim and Fars news agencies, both state-controlled, reported the supreme leader had been killed in the strikes. Iran declared 40 days of national mourning. In the streets of Tehran and in Iranian diaspora communities across the United States and Europe, celebrations broke out. An Iranian television anchor was visibly in tears while announcing the news on live television. For millions of Iranians who had lived under Khamenei's rule, who had watched protesters gunned down in the streets, who had seen their economy crushed by sanctions and mismanagement, this was a moment they had dreamed of, but never fully believed would come. Khamenei was not the only target. Operation Epic Fury delivered what military analysts are calling a total decapitation of Iran's senior military and intelligence leadership, according to the Israeli Defense Forces and corroborated by multiple intelligence sources. Mohammad Pakpour, commander of the IRGC ground forces, was killed. Aziz Nazirzadeh, Iran's Minister of Defense, was killed. 4 senior Iranian intelligence commanders, including Javad Pourhossein, head of Iran's foreign intelligence operations, were killed, and dozens of additional IRGC commanders and regime officials were confirmed killed in the strikes. The Institute for the Study of War noted in its evening special report that Iran's internet was shut down by the regime, almost certainly to prevent the full scale of casualties and leadership losses from reaching the Iranian public and the outside world. In a single morning, Iran lost its supreme leader, its defense minister, its top IRGC ground commander, and its foreign intelligence chief. The head had been removed. The question now, would the body survive? Iran did not sit still. Within hours of the strikes, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps launched a massive retaliatory barrage, firing hundreds of ballistic missiles and Shahed drones at targets across the region. Iran targeted Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar, the largest American military installation in the Middle East, the U.S. naval base in Bahrain, home of the U.S. Fifth Fleet, American military assets in Kuwait and the UAE, and Israeli cities targeted by waves of ballistic missiles. Airspace across the Persian Gulf was immediately closed, with civilian aviation halted across Qatar, Bahrain, Kuwait, and the UAE. But here is what is critically important to understand. The U.S. military confirmed 0 American combat casualties. Not a single U.S. service member was killed. Not a single U.S. warship was hit. Why? Because Operation Midnight Hammer, the June 2025 U.S. strikes on Iran's nuclear facilities, had already severely degraded Iran's most capable missile systems. Iran's missile force, while still dangerous, had been firing from a weakened and disorganized position, without the coordinated command structure that Khamenei himself had overseen for decades. And, critically, the United States had deployed Iranian-derived Shahed-type strike drones of its own, a remarkable piece of military adaptation, using technology reverse-engineered from Iranian drones captured on the battlefield to strike Iranian air defense installations. Iran had fired its biggest punch, and America walked away without a scratch. Shortly before 1 p.m. Eastern Time, journalist Barak Ravid of Axios spoke directly with President Donald Trump at Mar-a-Lago, a conversation that lasted approximately 5 minutes. What Trump told him revealed the strategic calculus behind Operation Epic Fury. When asked how long the military campaign would last, Trump said he had several off-ramps. Option 1. Go long and take the whole thing, meaning a full military campaign aimed at total regime change in Iran. Trump himself acknowledged this was not the preferred path. Option 2, and the option Trump described as most likely, continue strikes for another 2 to 3 days and then deliver an ultimatum to whatever Iranian leadership remains. We'll see you again in a few years, if you try to rebuild your nuclear program or your missile program. The message was unmistakable. The United States and Israel are not seeking permanent occupation of Iran, but they are demanding permanent disarmament. U.S. officials had already previewed this doctrine after Operation Midnight Hammer in June 2025, when Washington warned Tehran that any attempt to rebuild its nuclear infrastructure would trigger another round of strikes. According to American intelligence, Iran did attempt to rebuild. Seattle imagery confirmed construction activity at several of the nuclear sites struck in June 2025. And that, according to Trump, is precisely what made Operation Epic Fury not just justified, but necessary. As the Council on Foreign Relations noted, unlike the June 2025 strikes, Operation Epic Fury seeks to topple the Islamic Republic itself. 3 scenarios now face Iran. Scenario 1. A new Iranian government emerges, agrees to a nuclear deal, and accepts a fundamentally altered relationship with the United States and Israel. The war ends, a new Iran begins. Scenario 2. Iran's surviving leadership refuses to negotiate. Strikes continue. The regime slowly collapses under military pressure and internal unrest. Scenario 3. The Iranian people themselves, inspired by the fall of Khamenei and encouraged by Trump's direct appeal to them in a public statement, take to the streets in numbers that the surviving IRGC cannot contain. Which scenario unfolds, nobody knows yet. But for the first time in 36 years, all 3 are genuinely possible. On February 28, 2026, the world changed. Not gradually, not incrementally, but in the space of a single morning, in the smoke and rubble of a compound in Tehran, the Middle East as we have known it for nearly 4 decades was rewritten. Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, the man who built, nurtured, and weaponized Iran's nuclear program, the man who funded Hezbollah, the Houthis, and every proxy militia that had destabilized the region for a generation, the man who had defied every American president from Reagan to Trump, the man who believed he was untouchable. He was wrong. Operation Epic Fury was not just a military operation. It was a strategic message, delivered in precision-guided munitions to every adversary watching from Beijing to Moscow to Pyongyang. The era of strategic patience is over, but the story of Iran is not over. It is, in many ways, just beginning. What kind of Iran emerges from this moment will define the Middle East for the next generation. Whether it becomes a nation at peace with its neighbors, whether its people, who have suffered under this regime for decades, finally find the freedom they have marched and bled for. That chapter has yet to be written. What is certain is that after February 28, 2026, the world will never look at the Middle East the same way again.